4 years later, and I finally relearnt full ZBLL. And this intro is basically me explaining what I'm going to show in the next few videos. So what I've got set up in front of me is the 7 different types of ZBLL case. They're all the pure forms, so T, U, L, H, pi, anti-soon, and soon. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break down how I recognize each case, each call, essentially, and yeah, let's just get through it. So, starting with the U set, there are 6 different call cases for this, and there are 12 ZBLL cases per call. So they're all recognized in different ways. I'll just explain how I recognize the call itself. So for me, this is pure, and I just recognize it as these two are sort of fixed, they're solved, like next to each other. You've got this bar essentially, and the corners are non-matching. So well, you could think these two or these two match depending on which way you want to recognize it from. But I would say that you've got matching here and these two don't match. Here we have diag. So exactly opposite to this. These two are opposite and these two match. Then you got this case. I think I'll call this one back swap because these two at the back are swapped. So these two are matching and so are these. This one here, I believe, which one is this? This is, I'll call this one left swap. I think this is left swap. So I recognize this one by this corner on the right has 2 pieces back here that match, so here and here. That's how I would recognize this. And this one here, well, they don't match. These ones do instead, so it's the mirror. I'll call this one right swap. You can go into more detail by saying that these two are adjacent and so are these, so it's just a matter of trying to work out whether these match here or not. But just the way I recognize it, I just sort of go between corners. You'll see how I'll do that once I get to the actual cases themselves. And then finally we got this one. So this one I call front swap. So it's kind of like a checker case sort of thing here. Yeah, so I guess you can kind of recognize it as checker. So those are the 6 call cases. Let's get with the ALCs. Okay, starting off, we are going to do the no swap set, or as I called it earlier, the pure set. So here, obviously it's a no swap, but with this there's no edges, so it's literally just one big block with 2 twisted corners. There is like the old school way of twisting the corners, but that's not great. So what I do is I like to rotate it this way. I could do it from here, but this way's better. So from here, I'm just going to do a left anti-soon, followed by an anti-soon, and that solves. Next, we have no swap plus H perm. So it literally just looks like a H perm with 2 twisted corners. This one's, I'd say, the least nice of this call set, but I still quite like the ALG. I'll put the ALG in the description, so I'm not going to talk it through, but yeah. And next we have the Z-perm cases. So for here, there's an obvious Z-perm block. On the other side, you can kind of see that it's like the anti-Z-perm, so you know it's here, but it's just wherever the Z-perm is. So for this case, it's going to be a back soon, cancelled into a front soon. And the mirror, so ZBLL on the left instead. So we're going to rotate it around 2, and then it's going to be a front soon, cancelled into a back soon. Okay, so the next case is going to be this one here. So there's going to be like a U-perm on the left. So you've got a bar here, opposite on front. And, well, that's just an adjacent. So think of it as a U-perm here with opposite on front. So the alg goes like this. And the mirror, so you have the bar on the left this time and opposite on front. So we're going to have it here, and it's just going to be the mirror from the back. So now the next cases are also ones with bars on the side. So this one's got a bar on the right and adjacent on the front. So again, it's like another U-perm on the side, just the opposite way. And now this case, so I like to think of it as doing a back anti-soon from here. And then U, and then a back soon. And just like this case here, but this time the bar's on the left. So it's just going to be the mirror. So it's going to be an anti-soon, U prime, and then soon. The next case, we have a solid bar in front, and we've got the opposite on the right. You can also see that if you see the adjacent on the left, but I think this is better. So for this, we're going to run a rotate, and we're going to do a soon from here. So you're going to be, I like to think of it as sort of breaking the adjacent. So you do a soon, do a U, and then an anti-soon. And then for the mirror, where the opposite is on the left and adjacent's on the right, this time is going to be easier, so it's just going to be a back soon, U prime, back anti-soon. Now we're on the last two cases, where it's a U-perm on front. So just got two corners and I think clockwise U-perm. I never know which clockwise or anti-clockwise. I just sort of work out as I go. So bear with me for the course of this video. Right. So for this case, it's another algae kind of thing. Of course, they're all algs. Ignore me. But it goes like this. There. And this one here. So the opposite is on the right. So yeah, and that's the no swap set. And now I would suggest that learning the diag swap next is best, so that's what I'm going to show now. So the first alg, I believe this is most people's cold case for this set, so I'm going to show it first. So the recognition for the actual ZB itself is you've got diag corners and this bar on the left. and the alg goes like this. I don't actually execute it like that. I can't do F prime with my left index, but I guess most of you can. I'm too old school for that. And the mirror case, so bar on the right instead. I like to just do the mirror case. That's pretty much how I would execute it. The third case is the inverse alg of the first case I just showed of this set. So how to recognize this? If you've got this sort of one bar on front, but on the right, there's nothing else. So just the inverse alg. And the mirror of that, I use a different alg entirely. So you've got this bar, one bar on the left, on the front left, and it goes like this. So the next case I'm going to show is one with two bars on it. So you've got these two bars sort of on the right here. So the kind of N-perm, J-perm, however you want to think about it, but they're on the right. So it's a combo alg. So you got this 6 mover from the front, followed by the standard alg for the OLL. And the mirror case, where you got the two bars on the left, very similar, but you rotate and you start with a wide F sexy, wide F prime, and then you do the standard alg for that 3 mover, 3 edge case, even 3 mover. This is not scripted whatsoever. Okay, next case. This is one of the 2 tripod cases of the set. There's nothing else to recognize here, but you've got this 2x2 block. So this alg, bear with me, I'm like one of 2 people that use this alg that I know of, and I struggle to do it slow, so I've had to record this video like 3 times because of this one alg, but I'll have a go. There we go. 3 times a charm. And the mirror of that tripod case on the right, fortunately this is much easier to execute. Again, there are different algs for these cases. I'm just showing you what I use and how I kind of recognize them. So if you don't like what I do, fair enough. It's just a resource that's out there. Right, so this case, I rotate it on the side and I execute it like so. There. So the next case, there are no blocks. There's nothing great to recognize about this. This and the next case I'm going to show. So kind of look at the corners, and you've got these 2 match and the same for the other side. So they're like here and here. If you really go into more detail, you see these and these match, but I never look at those. And the alg goes like this. Essentially what that alg is this alg twice. You'll come to this much later, so it's just that twice. So the next case is very similar in recognition. The only difference is instead of this one matching with these, it's these 2 match and these 2 match. And this is a combo alg. So you do a 3 edge case, followed by thrower. And the last two cases, I actually do not have good algs for these, but I'm stuck with what I've got, and that's what I'm showing. So apologies. So for this one, it's a Z-perm block on the left. The other case will be on the right, but yeah, you got this case here. So what I do is I do one of the OLLs from that angle, and then it's just a 6-mover. And for the other case, where the Z-perm is on the right, I just do the inverse alg. So I do throw off into that L case. And that is the diag set. Okay, so the next set I'm going to show is going to be the back swap set. So it's just matching, and I'm going to start with this case. So you've got this called block on front, and it's like a solve J-perm, so just these two to swap, and these two. And the alg for this is just R prime, Y perm, and then R. It's not my standard Y perm, but for that alg, I prefer it. And the same for the mirror, actually. So this time with the block here, so it's these two and these two. This time it's going to be rotating F. So you start with a F2, and you finish with an F2. So just set up move into Y perms. Okay, so the next case, which has a 2 swap, is here and here. So it's like a T perm. Here and here. So I'm going to rotate, and it's a setup move into another PLL. You do F prime, and then you've got N perm, and then F. I did know another alg for it, which is another setup into an N perm, but I don't know it, so that's what I'm going to show. So the next alg, I don't know anyone else that uses it. So this time we've got bar in front, and these two need to swap. So it's like an F perm. There is an easy alg out there. I just prefer what I know. So start with the A B prime, so it's a bit weird. And then it's just a cluster of strange moves. But I really like the alg, and I can actually execute it fast. Oh, not on this cube though. Oh well, that's embarrassing. Yeah, off camera, fantastic. Right, so the next set of cases for this is here. So you got this bar solved, and these two are swapping. So it's like an R perm. So for this one, you want to rotate. I know this one I have to rotate for, because this one you start with an R prime, so you bring the block down. That's the mirror. But this one is different. That last move was just an AUF, so you don't necessarily need to do that one. And for the mirror case, where Z on the left and bar on the right, you start with that R prime like I said, and you just continue with the alg. Okay, and the next case is a anti-clockwise O perm, basically. So here goes to here goes to here, and that goes to there. And I believe this is the standard call for this. So I like to think of this as going around clockwise, and the alg goes like this. And for the clockwise O perm, so the inverse, you just do the inverse alg. And the last 4 cases, I'll show you this one here. So recognition is this H-perm block right here. That's an adjacent. So it's just this H-perm block. So the alg for this goes like so. It's kind of T-permish like. You start like that, and then you sort of finish slightly differently. And the mirror, I use a completely different case. And it goes like so. Took me ages to learn that one slowly. Similar to the one from the diag set. Last 2 cases. This one is recognizable because you have a single opposite bar, an op bar, I'd say. So these 2 are opposites, these 2 are adjacent. You don't really want to pay attention to those. So you just want to look at this, and that tells you what case it is. So for this, I rotate, and I set up like so. There is a regrip, and it is RUL, so it's not fantastic. And it goes like that. And the final case, so this time it's the mirror of that, where you got the bar on the right. This is yet again another sort of standalone weird alg. I quite like it. So you rotate it like this, and you start with the first 4 moves of the original F-perm. Then you continue like so. And that's the back swap set. The next set that I'm going to show is the front swap set. So this one here, obviously you've got the diagonal corners, but I kind of don't recognize anything here. Like, I know that I could have like an anti-Z block, or maybe these and these, but really there's nothing I look for. I just kind of realize I don't recognize anything. There's a few cases I do that for, but it works for me. So the alg is that. And I believe that's a standard call. It's not the alg I learnt, but it's fast. I can see why. And now the H-perm away from that is this, and you've got like a Z-perm block on each side. So I'd say this is easier to recognize. So to start the alg, you do a U2 or a Y2, and then the alg goes like that, finishes with the F prime, which I use my thumb. The next case, I actually learnt this one as my original call. Actually, it was my original OLL, so you can tell how bad resources were back before. Or maybe it's just because I really didn't like the original alg that everyone else used, but I digress. So it's a tripod block. This block, I kind of ignore that. Just think of it as a 3 cycle. So I do it from here. So basically it'll be like a Y2 and then X prime. And that's what I do for that. Could probably do it with left hand. I know I can do it with my left hand, but for the sake of the video, I think it's easier to explain that way. And then the mirror. So with the block on the right instead. So rotate. R2, 2, R prime D2 R U2 R prime D2 R prime, and those are the two tripod cases. So the next cases are ones with two blocks on it. So here and here. Adjacent, you can ignore. I just look at it as this. I've grown to like the alg over the time I've been using it, but I will not say that this is a great alg. So you can probably see why it's a bit weird, but I kind of got used to it. And the same for the mirror case, where the blocks are on the right now. I just do it so it's a back mirror. So I do it from here, and the alg is basically RUF instead of RUB. And there we go. The next case, so you have the recognition is this bar on the right. Not really anything else. You got this, but yeah, I'll never really look at that. And the alg goes like so. And for the mirror case with the bar on the left, now I could just do the other alg where you follow it through, but I learned something different. So it is just first 4 moves at J-perm as a setup, into J-perm, and then undo. So now the next cases. This one here, where you've got a single block on the front, but on the left. So here, not really anything there, and you've got this. And my alg for this goes like so. And the mirror, where the block is on the right, front right, I just do the lefty alg. So rotate here. Yeah. And finally, the last two cases. So there's not really anything to recognize apart from this opposite here. You could have a look at other stuff, but this is what I see. And the alg goes like so. And the mirror, this one here. So this is the only thing you recognize. Do it from the Y2 away, and it's just the mirror alg from the front. And that's it. Okay, so now we have the left swap. So essentially it's left swap because if I was to twist this corner, these two match and these two wouldn't. So that's basically why it's the left swap. So starting with the main alg, which is I think most people's OLL even, it's definitely their cold case for this. So let's get into it. So this alg is just a standard COM. There. Really simple, and it's definitely one of the easiest ones there. So the next case I'm going to show is, which one is it? Oh, I did have them all set out. Here we go. So this one here. So rather than just being the 3 corners, you've got this tripod case. It's previous case was also a tripod case, but easy to recognise as just 3 corners. But this one here, so it's exactly the same alg. The only difference is once you get to here, they're wide R's, and that's that. The next case that I like to do, or like to learn in order, is this one here. So you got this one here, but you got this sort of H-perm block right here. So op, H-perm block. There's an opposite here, but I don't look at that. And this case here goes like so. There. So the next case, so like the last one had H-perm, this one has a Z-perm. Nothing over here. So Z-perm block. And this is the alg I use. I know there is better, but it's the alg that I learned. And so this one here, so this one's next because you do have this sort of anti-Z-perm block, but I recognise it by this block here on the left instead, and that's the only thing there. This is a horrible alg, but I haven't seen anything better, and it goes like so. Okay, now moving on. So you've got this case here. So I recognise it as having 2 blocks. So you've got here and here. This alg is one of the fastest of this set. I really like it. And it goes like so. Yeah. So next case, you do have this Z-perm block on the left, but it's not how I recognise it. I recognise it by this bar on the right. So, and the L goes like so. Okay, now this case here, you got this bar on the front right even, and to do it like so. So you rotate twice, you do a soon, but you cancel into the knit class, and I rotate for it. Ooh, I should have mentioned. Right, so the case I just showed you here, you've got this bar here, but this is adjacent. There's nothing else, it's adjacent. But then you've got this case here, which is also a bar on the front right, but this is opposite. And this alg goes like so. Let me just solve the other cube so I don't confuse it. Okay, so the next case is going to be this one here. So I recognise it by this block on the left. So you've got nothing over here, more or less. You could recognise this as an opposite, but I recognise this. And the alg starts exactly the same as the previous alg. First 8 moves. But it finishes differently. the second to last case of this set. Yeah, I recognize it as, instead of H-perm block being here, it's here. And so here, nothing here but H-perm. And I do the alg like so. And finally, you got this case here. I recognize it as I don't recognize anything. So I could recognize that you've got sort of this here, opposite, you really got nothing. And the alg I use goes like so. Yeah, I used to use something way worse. But I've only just swapped that one out. So yeah, don't learn that last alg. Right, so the last subset of the U set is going to be right swap. So basically every alg is just going to be a mirror of the ones that I showed you previously, but there'll be different algs for it. So for this one here, it's just another 3-corner. There is a block here, but you're not going to look at that. And it's just a mirror of the case, so like that. And that's the coal case basically. Next case is this one here, where you've got this tripod block. You do have this, but it's just a tripod block. Exactly the same as the other set. The only moves that are different is this one and that one, where the R's are wide. The next case, this, you've got a H-perm block on the left and not really anything on the right. You've got this opposite, but you're going to focus on here. I don't have a good alg for it. Just got one that I learned, say, 5 years ago. Not really swapped it out, but yeah, whatever. It's just a lefty case of the mirror. It works for me. The next case is this one right here. So you've got this Z-perm block right here. Don't really have anything here. And the alg goes like so. It's basically a 9, that cancelled into an anti-soon. And I did used to use that until very recently. So try not to get into that habit of just mirroring algs. I know I'm showing you these, but yeah, just advice. And this case here, so I recognize it as this is on the right. So you've got a front right block and nothing else. And the alg goes like so. It's only marginally better than the mirror, but best alg I know so far. Right. Next case is one with 2 blocks. Got an op there, but you're not look at that. Not going to look at that. And so you're going to want to rotate it here. And that's the alg. The next case, so recognition wise, I do recognize this block as well as that, as opposed to the inverse case, which I don't really bother, but I do actually recognize this. The alg I use goes like that. This case, so I recognize it as just having this. There's not really anything else. The alg I use goes like this. So I think of it as those three, followed by loads of R2s. Yeah. So the next case, I'm going to show you this one here. So you do have this block on the front left, but you've got this opposite here. And I just use the mirror alg of the other case. So it's not quite as finger tricky as the other one, but I'll still use it. Still works. And this case here, so bar on front left, but this time you've got adjacent. So this one is going to be a back soon, cancelled into Nicholas. The second to last case of the entire U set is this one here. So this one you've got a H-perm on the right. So you rotate to here, and then you do this. And the final case of the U set is the one where I don't use any recognition basically. So I look and I see nothing. So once I know that, I rotate to here, and I've got quite a spammy alg. Yeah. And that was the U set.